Can I change my mind? Can I say I'm not ready?
No, of course not, dude. We're already recording. What's up, everyone? Welcome to, I don't know, maybe
Episode
Sasscast
3.
episode 3? Uh,
Yeah, indeed.
yeah, we're just doing, this will be the Sasscast for the week. I was kind of debating whether or not to make it a separate thing, but I think it's going to be a long enough episode that this can be our weekly episode. I say weekly, but we never did anything last week, so.
We
Um,
did the other guys for last week
yeah, and I haven't uploaded
on
it
a
yet,
separate.
but
Yeah,
I'm going to do that, I think, tonight. I'm going to try to get a thumbnail worked up, and then I'll put that out as a
you're as bad as me when it
review.
comes to uploading. Trust me.
Dude, I know. So yeah, Xbox just had their event 2 days ago now, and we definitely have some. Not just us, the whole internet seems to have thoughts on this thing, and they're not um, kind thoughts. They're very angry, upset. Some of them are just plain rude. Honestly, there's a lot of people out there who don't seem to know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're just going off on Xbox because I don't know. They're
Yeah, you're not going to find rational people all across the internet, but you will find a rational person like yourself, Gage, and myself, Kumail. We'll be exploring the Xbox sort of game. What do you call it? Game conference, game presentation,
uh,
whatever they wanted to call it.
showcase, I think, is what they were calling it. Their Xbox game
Sounds good.
showcase.
Sounds good to me. Sounds
Um,
good to me.
yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days because that's one of the things that sucks about Twitter. I posted, I replied to Andy Cortez who said, he's gonna go watch it in 4K, and I just replied with, sad was it sadly shows the flaws a lot more. That's all I posted. Because that's true. Like that's
Yeah,
watching it in
yeah.
the full 4K resolution does show off the visual flaws more, and I didn't get any
Are you
replies.
talking about generally across the board, or are you just talking about a game specifically,
Just mainly
or games here and there?
mainly Halo Infinite,
Okay.
um, and I didn't get replies, anything like that. All of a sudden, somebody else posts on it and just kind of goes off and kind of trashes kind of funny for it, and then all of a sudden people start replying to him and Andy replies to him and all these things happen, and the whole time I'm just thinking, why is this happening on my comment? All I did was say it just points out the flaws. That's it. I didn't say anything else about the game.
Yeah.
And people were just either on one side wholeheartedly defending it, as we've seen on the internet. Most people are saying either holy shit, this looks incredible, or this looks like absolute garbage, but there's no reasoning to it other than oh my god, it's ugly, or oh my god, the ray tracing's beautiful, which doesn't make sense
Well,
because there's no
let's
ray
take it. Let's
tracing.
take a let's take a step back. Let's take a step back to give people context. You're very much a Halo fan to begin with.
Yes, yes.
So just whatever you heard previously and whatever you're going to hear going forward is from a perspective of a Halo fan. And I think in our little group chat, you were so excited to see them finally show Halo.
Man, I went
But
off on Thursday talking about, I forgot what sparked it, but I started rattling off all this lore talking about how the Spartans were created and like how they were kidnapped as kids and replaced with clones and all these things because I love Halo. Like I'm through and
yeah,
through
one of
a
the lads had asked a question, and you
yeah.
recommending books and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I'm through and through a PlayStation fan because that's what I grew up with, and that's what I just prefer to play most of my games on. But I bought an Xbox One X, the first Xbox that I ever actually owned myself, because I
mhm.
grew up playing Halo and I loved it. And I read a bunch of the books and everything, and missed Halo, so I bought an Xbox One X, bought Master Chief Collection and Halo 5, played through the first three games, and then didn't touch anything else after that. I played an hour of Halo 4 and 20 minutes of Halo 5, but I played through all three of the first games again on Legendary because that's just what I did growing up, and I love Halo. So just keep that in mind. We're gonna get in depth on Halo Infinite at the end of the show. That's gonna be our final big topic. So just keep that in mind. Bear with us. We're not trying to shit on anything because we're Sony ponies or whatever. It's because we actually have insight on stuff. And there's definitely some stuff in this conference that we liked that we're definitely going to get into as well. So
Mhm.
just,
So before we talk about the conference, I just wanted to ask you,
yeah.
what were your sort of expectations from the conference, and what did you really want to see from this conference that from Microsoft?
So this, it's kind of hard to talk about stuff like this without sounding too much like a hater, I guess. I like Phil Spencer and I like
Here
Aaron
we
Greenberg.
go.
Um, I I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's hubris. I don't know if it's a false sense of confidence. I don't know if it's ego or what, but we've had 2 showcases already this year. Not counting all the stuff they showed off at previous E3s. And they continue to say things about their console and how it's the most powerful console in the world, yet they still haven't showed us why, which I think is the main problem I have with Xbox. I mean, kind of in general, they always have really poor marketing. But PlayStation came out. The first thing with PlayStation 5 was a tech breakdown where they just talked about tech specs. They didn't show us the console.
This was the GDC thing you're referring to.
Yeah, the Mark
Mark
Cerny
Cerny,
conference they had a few months back where they didn't show anything. They just literally talked about the console and like, oh, here's the SSD, here's how it breaks down data. They were just going off about that. That was it. They were just telling us about the system, explaining why it's so cool. And then we get their showcase 3 weeks ago, I think it was now.
It was like June
Maybe 4 weeks?
17th, 18th, one of those ones. It was definitely June, late June, because
Yeah.
of the
Oh god, it's like
delay
the
and
end
whatnot.
of July now, so it's been actually over a month almost.
Yeah.
Holy crap. They come out, the first thing they show is Grand Theft Auto 5, running out of PS4, but basically that was just them announcing, like, hey, Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to come to PlayStation 5
You're
with
getting more
GTA
stuff
Online.
with it.
GTA Online is going to have free-to-play for PlayStation Plus owners. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff with it. Speaking of which, Rockstar just announced a new update for Grand Theft Auto Online and Red Dead Redemption 2 in the coming weeks, so if you're a fan of those games, keep an eye out. I'm so excited. But right after that, they had this splash screen where it said, from this point forward, everything you're seeing is running on PlayStation 5. And they just showed games. And a lot of them were just trailers, but they weren't...
So you had things like Spider-Man, you had Gran Turismo, Ratchet and Clank, that new Square Enix game, Project Athia,
Right.
which Gary Witt is working on with apparently loads of A-list sort of Hollywood people. You had Sackboy come back. You had new sort of IP like Kena, Destruction All Stars. It's like there's so many different games they showed there where everyone was just like, "Wow!" Hitman 3, I think, was one of them as well.
Yep, and that's the big thing too is they showed gameplay.
Deathnax.
There was some like
Bugsnax. Sorry,
Bugsnax. Yeah, like we got Bugsnax, which just was a trailer. I'm assuming that's gameplay because it's not a visually stunning game, so I'm clear that's recorded in game. Demon's Souls, obviously, it's a full pre-rendered trailer. But Spider-Man, although it was cut like a trailer, it didn't look pre-rendered. It looked like it was running on a PlayStation 4. Just comparing what Insomniac did with Spider-Man, where that first initial reveal trailer, it was quick camera cuts and some, cutscene stuff. But there were parts in there that were clearly gameplay, and the game came out, and that was representative of what the game actually looked like. So I'm sure Miles Morales is the same way. I'm pretty sure that's what the game looks like, running at its performance mode, the 4K, 30 frames per second, probably with ray tracing and everything, which I can't imagine it looks much worse running at 60 frames per second. And then we see Gran Turismo 7. We get a decent, 45-second, minute, whatever, trailer that shows off a bit of what the game's going to be. Hitman 3 showed a little bit of gameplay. We got a full gameplay segment of Ratchet and Clank that actually showed off why PlayStation 5 is awesome by literally highlighting the SSD. The fact that he was able to...
I didn't even realize that's what they were doing with it when they first showed it. I was just like really impressed by the sort of what they were showing off and just happy we're getting more Ratchet and Clank. The art style's beautiful, the graphics look beautiful.
Yeah, you could see ray tracing on the reflections. The way it was actually... Because for those of you who don't know what ray tracing is, because it seems like nobody in the industry who's not into game development knows what the hell ray tracing is. People were looking at Halo Infinite and saying, oh my god, the ray tracing. No. ray tracing isn't how you get good lighting. You can do good lighting without ray tracing. Ray tracing essentially is just a more realistic way of bouncing light. So, PlayStation 4 games have had incredible lighting that aren't using ray tracing. They might use aspects of it, like global illumination is a big thing. Basically, what that means is you have a light source, it actually shines the light, and then that light can bounce off things and spread the color, much like in real life. If you have a red piece of paper and a white piece of paper, you shine light on the red piece of paper, the white piece of paper is going to start glowing red because it's bouncing that color light. It's essentially what global illumination is. You can do that without ray tracing, but it's very expensive to do on a software level, so having a graphics card that's capable of doing that at the hardware level is able to do it on its own without the game engine having to do as much work, essentially. It's kind of a generalized breakdown, but it can increase the quality of shadows, reflections. It allows you to reflect things that aren't in screen. That's why most games use screen space reflections. So if you, like Last of Us Part 2 or whatever, if you look at trees and there's water below, you can see those trees reflected. But if you pan the camera down and those trees disappear from view, those reflections disappear because it's essentially just mirroring what you see. Ray tracing would allow those trees to be visible at all times, essentially. That's one of the many uses. Halo Infinite had none of that, but people just keep hearing Microsoft talk about ray tracing in the most powerful console, so they just assume that's what it is. It's not what it is. It didn't have any ray tracing. I don't think anything we saw...
It's not Microsoft, though. It's like everyone in the game industry these days is just using the word ray tracing, and I'm just like...
I think...
What?
I think Forza was the only thing that actually showed gameplay other than Halo, and it looked like it had ray tracing. I think they confirmed that it did in the trailer. They were talking about look at ray tracing.
Was it even gameplay? Wasn't it just
not like gameplay? But I think it was in
engine stuff.
In engine stuff, basically, and presumably that's what the game's going to look like. Racing games and sports games in general aren't too demanding, so what you see in like a in-engine trailer, it's usually what you get. So that looks great, but not everything has ray tracing. Stop gushing over ray tracing if it doesn't have ray tracing, because that's not what ray tracing is, okay? That's just cool lighting and, specularity and roughness and decent material work. That's not ray tracing. But again, we'll get to Halo in a bit. But basically talking about the marketing is the fact that PlayStation showed us everything. They didn't tell us much. They just showed it. And Xbox keeps telling us...
It was pretty much something for everyone, wasn't there?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Xbox keeps telling us why we need to be excited, but they won't show us. They keep saying world's most powerful console, multi-platform games, current gen is not going to hold back next gen. We're not going to have console exclusives for a long time.
So what you wanted to see in a nutshell was basically Xbox to show you something that's going to take full advantage of the one.
Show me why it's the most powerful console.
Or why you should buy it. And for me, I just wanted some cool first-party games that are going to be akin to what Sony is offering us with, Horizon Zero Dawn.
I was excited to see that too.
Tsushima and stuff like that.
Definitely, I wanted to see some cool games, but the fact that this is... We're months away from the launch of this console, and they haven't done anything to show this. They announced this back when it was still Project... Oh God, what did they call this one?
I can't remember at all.
Oh God, was it Scarlet? Yeah, I think it was Scarlet.
Yeah,
Scorpio was the Xbox One X, and this one was Scarlet. They announced it at E3 last year.
2017 or 18?
I think they announced this one last year, and that's where. No.
I think it might be 2018.
Yes, I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
No. They announced Halo Infinite in 2018. They announced the new Xbox last year because they had that amazing reveal trailer of Halo Infinite, and then it was last year where they were like, and we're launching the console with Halo. So from the beginning of this console's life cycle, they were pimping out Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, I think their marketing has been kind of garbage. Again, we're going to get more into the marketing and some of the stuff Aaron Greenberg said once we get into Halo.
You're talking about just the console side of things rather than everything else. Because when you talk about marketing, you consider all the kind of consumer friendly things they've put forward, and you're like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I have
yeah,
a
we
really loud keyboard. Sorry about that.
so do I. I think that's something that just runs in Simply Sassy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I gotta bring up.
Searching for.
I had to bring up the Aaron Greenberg interview because I want to get into that later and talk about why.
Oh, okay.
Again, I'm gonna preface it by saying I like Aaron Greenberg. I like Phil Spencer. They seem like really cool guys. They seem genuine, like they actually care about Xbox, and
Well, yeah, look
like
at
they
how
feel like
Phil's
it's.
been trying to
Yeah, I
stir the
just.
course from 360 or Xbox One since the massive F up at 2000. What was it 2013?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
I just.
been doing a lot. He's been trying his hardest.
I feel like. I don't know. I feel like they get a little too ahead of themselves, or maybe they, as people who are such higher ups in the company, like maybe they don't understand as much as they should about certain things. Probably from experience too. Like I'm not saying they don't understand gaming. I just mean like it seems like the reason PlayStation has excelled this generation is because they've been around longer, and the people they've got moving up in the industry or in the company are people who worked on games.
Mm-hmm.
Like Herman Holst, who's now the new CEO of Worldwide Studios, right? Because that was Shu,
Right,
and then Shu went to the new independent team, and then they promoted Herman to Worldwide, I think. Herman was from Guerrilla. You know, he worked on Horizon Zero Dawn and Killzone, so he worked in games. Mark Cerny has been there since the beginning, working on games and working on the hardware. I think they just have a better understanding on the work that goes into stuff, and maybe time frames and stuff like that, which I see some glaring inconsistencies between PlayStation and Xbox in that interview with Aaron Greenberg. So we're going to do a deep dive into that. But
okay, so let's not get sidetracked. Let's hit off the show.
We keep going off on tangents about stuff, getting ahead of ourselves. So let's take it back to the conference. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the showcase and kind of just talk about specific beats in certain games, and then we're gonna end with our Halo discussion. So the first thing I want to talk about, let's talk about Crossfire X. It's that online multiplayer military shooter that is having a single player campaign developed by Remedy. Is this something you were at all interested in or had any knowledge of prior?
Not being in the Xbox ecosystem, it wasn't something I was conscious of. So when they just showed me a trailer of some guys shooting stuff, I'm just like, standard Microsoft first-person shooter. That's all I really thought of, and I'm not really interested to go find out what it's all about. It just looks like another shooter, and that's it really. It hasn't got anything for me. But what did you think?
So I knew this game existed because I've seen it, the multiplayer, like free to play multiplayer, whatever it is, pop up on the Xbox store every once in a while. And when it first started going, I thought, this looks kind of cool. I mean, yeah, it's just another typical multiplayer shooter, but when it said the story was being developed by Remedy, that's kind of when I got interested. I doubt I'm ever going to play it, just because I'm frankly just burned out on shooters.
Remedy, people who did Control and stuff, was it?
Yes, dude. Oh my god. Control, Alan Wake, and the first two Max Payne games. There was another game in there somewhere between Alan Wake and Control. I forgot what it was called.
So there's a reason to care about it then.
Kidding, it's Quantum Break. It's a fun game.
They've done
yes, I think
games like that. Well, games like Control that everyone loves. So
Remedy is very much like Kojima. They do whatever the hell they want, and they do it so well. It doesn't matter what it is, how weird it is. It works, and it's always fun to play. I didn't play too much of Quantum Break. I think I played maybe 2 or 3 hours of it, and it was cool, just not really my thing. Control is essentially a spiritual successor to that, and it kind of takes those same ideas, makes them better. But like Alan Wake is one of my favorite, like, I guess you could say survival horror type games. It's not quite survival horror, but it's in that that aspect. Some of the coolest mechanics ever, where enemies are cloaked in shadow, so you have to focus your flashlight on them first to break that, and then you can shoot them and kill them. It's just a really unique mechanic that you don't really see in games, and they do that all the time. They have great storytelling, great gameplay mechanics, everything. I think Remedy is one of the top dogs in AAA space right now.
So it's a cool announcement. Nothing groundbreaking,
Yeah,
but it's a
I'm
cool
not
announcement
like
for sure.
if the single player is free to play or it's cheap and it reviews well, maybe I'll give it a shot. But with
Yeah.
Call of Duty and Battlefield coming out every single year,
I just don't know
I'm
how
just
much it can be something that's different from what we've already got in the
exactly.
market.
It's oversaturated. That's the reason I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet. It looks
No,
amazing.
no, don't, no, don't,
So,
don't, don't
no,
bring up this topic. All right, just move on.
it's
We're not going down
purely
this road.
purely out of oversaturation. I want to play it.
No,
I would
there's
love
no
to play it.
oversaturation. Just play
Dude,
the
I still
game and
haven't
you'll
played
understand.
Neo, or I haven't finished Neo. I started Neo 2. I haven't finished Sekiro. I haven't even finished Onimusha
This is
Warlords on my
nothing like
PS4.
those
I
games,
know, it's
though.
very different, but like
Gage.
I'm talking like stylistically, like samurai stuff like that. It looks great. I
Gage,
definitely do want
when
to
you
play
play
it.
the game, you're gonna look so stupid. Honestly,
No, it looks amazing. I do want to play it,
it's
but
a
it's
point of
like
contention
just
for people who don't know.
I
We
don't know,
all are
man.
trying to force Gage to play. He's
Look,
just not in the
man.
mood.
Look, money's tight right now. 60
Yeah,
bucks
that's
for a
fair. That's
game.
fair.
I gotta be more sparing. Like, only game I'm looking forward to buy this year is Cyberpunk. I don't even know about Assassin's Creed anymore because it looks cool, but do I want to spend 60 bucks on another game when we're in the middle of a pandemic and you know our
You gotta be
economy is
frugal with
not
your money.
great?
Yeah,
So
and the thing is, like, economy-wise, we're gonna be well, in a recession for quite a while. Let's
yeah,
say.
yeah.
So anyway, let's
So
not be depressing. So that was one of the games we
not
saw.
be
What else did
depressing. We're talking about the Xbox showcase.
Fair point.
Just
Fair point.
just joking, everyone. Don't hate us. Um, seriously though,
Haha, yeah, joking. Haha.
that's one thing I wanted to ask
Well,
before we started this, and I forgot. So, just quick, like 5 words or less. What did you think of this conference?
it was fine.
Exactly, it was fine. My thoughts exactly. It's not. It wasn't bad, but it was not great.
No. I did a poll as well. Very few people thought it was excellent. Most people thought it was good. And then there
Yeah,
was there was like I think 20% it was meh and 20% was
yeah,
F in the chat, which was terrible. So 40% basically thought it was or 45% thought it was good.
yeah.
So
Um,
even
so
people are mixed on it, and there was about 70 people that sort of commented.
exactly.
That's for metrics. But yeah,
So
what was after the
the next
crosscode or
thing.
whatever it's called?
So we talked about the control game.
Crosscode's different.
Um, Forza. Let's do Forza. How is
So
this
for
game? How is Forza Motorsport? Forza Motorsport. They're not even giving it a number. How is it still in early development? That's just what I
so
want to know.
my question is, how long ago would have these studios gotten access to the Xbox Series X hardware or whatever to start developing their games and whatnot?
I'm assuming 343 and Playground Games would have been the first two studios. Maybe the Coalition following right after. But it seems like Halo and Forza would be like those are your tentpole games. Like those are the games you want to have on your Xbox at launch. And the fact we're only
But
getting
how long
Halo.
would have would they have to sort of develop those games before the
So
announcement of the
theoretically, as far as
Series X and
specs
stuff?
go, they could have been developing for these types of specs for maybe the past 5 years, maybe.
Oh
Um,
damn!
Not in their entirety. Obviously, we didn't have GPUs that were doing hardware accelerated ray tracing or anything like that.
Ray
But
tracing was what 2017, 18.
yeah, I think
Nvidia.
Nvidia's RTX cards came out in 2018. I think maybe it was
Mm-hmm.
2019. They came out when I was still at Best Buy, but that all kind of mushes together in my mind.
It was basically one of those 2 years because I remember reading up about it.
Yeah. So, but like everything else, as far as like CPU power and like RAM, and general graphics processing, they could have been developing for these specs for probably the past 6 or 7 years. They could have been running on one of the higher ended video cards back then, like a hell, they could have been using like a 1060 or 1070,
Yeah,
16 gigs of RAM. That's nothing new. Gaming PCs have been going for 16 gigs since like the early 2010s, and
yeah. Mine's
so
16, and I've got a 1080 Nvidia card
yeah.
currently. So
So they could have
that's
been
what I'm
developing
working
for
with.
these specs for a long time. I don't know. I think the reason we didn't, because Horizon 4 came out in 2018, so it's been 2 years since the last Forza game came out. Uh, Forza 7 came out in 2017, so it's been a couple years. So them
Yeah,
saying it's in early
they've had plenty
development
of time to
is,
develop.
yeah.
Yeah,
Even if it wasn't gonna come out at launch, them saying it's in early development has me really worried, because The Last of Us Part 2 was announced at PSX
2015
2016.
or 16.
I
Yeah,
think it
one
was
of those two.
2016, and they said it's in early development, and then 4 years later we get it. Um, so it has me worried that we're not going to get a Forza game for 2 or 3 years, which would suck because
Did they
that's
did they say it was exclusive to Series X, or did they say it's going to be cross
that I don't
compatible
remember.
or whatever?
Um, I'm assuming it's going to be exclusive because it's probably a little ways out. Um,
Yeah, because we know that any game that's coming out in 2022 is going to be exclusive for, or late 2022 is going to be exclusive for Series X.
yeah, Series X and
Um,
PC, they're going to abandon Xbox One by then, which they should theoretically abandon it sooner when it comes to big things. Like I like having a broader ecosystem, but this isn't like previous generations where it's just a resolution tweak. Like you're going from
no,
a console that's based with a hard drive to a console with an SSD. Like that is drastic performance implications on an older piece of
and
hardware.
Sony has done a great job in explaining why, this is so revolutionary in terms of games going forward. With
Exactly.
like
Like
how you'll no longer need those sort of elevator sort of loading phases or whatnot in games that we have. Like you
yeah,
can completely design a game without load times and whatnot.
exactly. And that's kind of
So
what.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
really
don't know.
interesting.
That does definitely worry me about Forza.
We know it's going to be good when it comes out.
Oh,
It's just
definitely.
when it's going to come out, which is
Um,
weird.
but that does kind of take me to another point of contention I have with this conference. So we got to see Ori and the Will of the Wisps running on Series X.
Yeah,
It was just running at 120 frames per second. That was the only thing they really showed off. Um,
that's pretty cool though, isn't it?
yeah,
120 frames per
absolutely.
second on the console.
Did they show Sea of Thieves during the conference?
I don't remember seeing it. If they did, it was probably during like a Games
Yeah,
Pass sort of thing.
I don't remember if they actually showed it off or not, but Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Ori, Sea of Thieves, and Gears Tactics are all getting Xbox Series X upgrades. I knew
Yeah,
about Gears 5 because there's like a little bit of footage you can see that came out a couple months back. Why wouldn't they show these? Why wouldn't they show these games and just say, "Hey, check out Gears 5 running on Series." Well, actually, I know why. I'm pretty sure it's because of Halo. They were worried that if they put Gears 5 out there on Series X, it would show some of the visual flaws in some of the other games. Because Gears 5 is gorgeous. Adding that to the Series X amount of power, it would make, I don't know. It seems like they probably did that as a choice because they knew that the Halo Infinite gameplay wasn't quite as pretty, maybe. But it also seems like a
that's not
disappointment because
that's
those were
not to say though that they might not show it on later on because they
definitely
did say
definitely
there's going to be another conference. Maybe
yeah.
they need to save some stuff to show.
But like that's huge. Those are big games. Those are great games. I would have loved to see something because once again, the whole thing is talking about how powerful this new console is and how it's more powerful than even the PlayStation 5, but we've yet to see that. PlayStation 5 has showed us stuff that clearly looks way better than anything I've seen in Series X. So if Xbox has this power, they need to do something. They need to show it in a big way because they're already starting to fall behind big
I
time.
mean, I remember Phil saying, and we'll talk more about the conference in a second, but I remember him saying that, oh yeah, he watched the sort of PlayStation conference and he didn't see anything there that he didn't think Xbox could top. And I'm just thinking, that's paraphrasing by the
Yeah,
way, but
yeah.
I'm just thinking, and I was really excited by that. I was like, oh okay, let's see what they're going to show. And lo and behold, there was like you said, there's nothing that in terms of graphical fidelity, let's say, there was
Yeah,
nothing that
as far as
really
visuals go.
outshone what PlayStation showed.
Because gameplay for a lot of stuff looks great. I'm excited for a lot of these games, but as far as visuals, yeah, it was. Again, I also want to specify, like, I work on games to an extent. I'm not in the industry, but I do have experience with game engines. But for the most part, we're all just fans, so we don't actually know a
Oh yeah,
whole
for
lot
me
from.
with technical stuff, don't rely on me for technical stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just an enthusiast.
so we are just
Very
going
much.
off of our perspectives, what we've read, what we've seen. We don't know the whole picture, so we're not trying to like talk shit about anybody at Xbox. Like that's not what this is about. This is literally just about
Well,
discussing.
we very much wanted to see something that would get us excited, and there's a few things I'll pick up on PC, but for the most part,
Exactly. That's the
we,
biggest
we,
thing.
went, we went in with a clear mind and came out.
Everything that I saw from this conference, I either thought, cool, I can't wait to play this on my One X or my PC. Nothing made me go, I have to buy a new console for this. Like, because most of the games, it's like, they're going to look great and play great on my Xbox One X anyway. Or if I need them to have ray tracing, I'll play it on my PC. But they're not selling me on getting a new console, which is what I want them to do so bad. We got Tetris Effect connected.
Which is coming to
Everything.
PlayStation 4 and I think there's something later next year as well.
Well,
So the
it says Tetris
come
Effect
as an
Connected is an Xbox exclusive multiplayer expansion, but I'm pretty sure they already said that that's coming to everything as well. So
they've said the so if you got Tetris Effect already, you're going to get an update in I think spring 2021 to upgrade it to the sort of multiplayer
okay, so
version
it's
of
only
it.
timed exclusive for Xbox then. So this article
That's
is
what
wrong.
that's what I read.
Um, we got the expansion for Outer Worlds, which is cool.
Yeah,
But
I haven't played Outer Worlds, but I've seen Outer Worlds.
I've
And,
played a bit of it,
what
but I played it on my Xbox and
it's cool.
like play it on PC. Don't play it on Xbox One X. Don't play it on PS4 Pro. Play it on PC because it doesn't feel good on console at all.
But that's just like DLC, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a new expansion. Looks cool. I didn't get super into Outer Worlds. It was fine, but I don't know. It just didn't vibe with me the way I wanted it to. But we did get the trailer for Avowed, which I'm so excited to see where that goes.
I think universally that's probably the one game most people are excited for.
Definitely.
I know me and you were very hot on it, and you can probably tell us why you're so excited for it.
I'm so excited. I hope it's close. I'm hoping that game comes out in like 2022 because we still have such a long wait for Elder Scrolls 6, and I'm dying inside for a game like that. And Obsidian arguably made the best Fallout game with New Vegas, so I really hope they can pull this off and make an Elder Scrolls like game. And it's set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, which is cool. Pillars of Eternity is awesome. So it's gonna be cool to actually see that.
With, but...
Dude, so good. We got a couple other things. We got the new Don't Nod game. Tell Me Why. Again, looks
not really
fine.
my sort of type of game.
Yeah, I'm not too into those narrative choice games.
Right?
I played Season 1 of The Walking Dead, which I loved, and then I played Game of Thrones and Tales from the Borderlands when those came to PlayStation 4, and that was the last time I played a narrative game like that. I think I started Life is Strange, but yeah, just not my thing. I know they're huge, and it's cool they're coming out with something else. It looks cool.
But it was one that we already knew about. We just got a date for it.
Yeah.
Fine.
We got that god-awful trailer for Balan Wonderworld, which made no sense. I still have no idea what that game's supposed to be, but I think that was the one that started with the...
That was the Summer Games Fest thing.
Was that...
conference.
That was Sega,
that was
right?
Feature.
Yeah, that was the one from Sega.
Square Enix.
That was Square? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the Sega game?
Hang on. Not Yakuza. that's the most obvious one. Hang on. Phantasy Star Online 2.
That's what it was. I think I put out a tweet to our group chat. No, maybe I didn't. I thought I tweeted it, but maybe I didn't. Basically, I said like, Sonic fans every time they see the Sega logo, and then it's not Sonic, because they just keep putting out games that aren't Sonic, and I feel bad for Sonic fans because Sonic fans are hardcore, like some of the most hardcore fans in the world. It's ridiculous.
Well, look, when they do get Sonic games, it usually turns out bad.
Yeah,
Let's not talk about Sonic Forces. So
that's kind of why I think a lot of the Xbox fanboys are so hyped about this, is because they haven't gotten the same attention that they've been wanting. So seeing anything like this, I think is why there's so many people blowing it out of proportion, is because they just haven't had this type of content for such a long time. Like, arguably, we haven't had a good Halo since Halo Reach. I'm just gonna put that out there. So, I don't guilt any of the Xbox fans who love Halo for being excited for Halo Infinite. Just
oh no,
keep it
I
real.
think everyone's excited for
Just
Halo Infinite. It's just
temper.
that when you've got to be honest sometimes about
Exactly.
what you're being shown.
Look,
and if your opinion's nothing wrong with it, then fantastic.
Speaking of being honest to your brand, I love PlayStation. It's like my favorite. I love their first parties. Naughty Dog is one of the best developers in the world. I'm not a big fan of Last of Us Part 2. And that's okay. I don't hate it. I'm not going to shit on it. Like, it's not a bad game. I like the game. It's fine. But it's okay to not like things. You don't have to like everything your favorite brand does. You don't have to... Like, Kumail, do you like every single Pokemon game that comes out?
For the most part, yeah. But I will
Fuck
say
off.
I'm
trying to make a point here, dude. Jeez.
Here's to your point. Generation 5, probably one of the better stories in the franchise. But I didn't really like the aesthetics of it. And Sword and Shield, I put like 470 hours in the game so far. But I can totally agree with anyone that says the story in that game is non-existent, and how Game Freak should be doing a hell of a lot better with the amount of resources they have with the
Yeah.
Pokemon games. I just love Pokemon, but there's a lot wrong with the franchise currently,
I
for sure.
Bethesda is my favorite studio. Their games, like, if I had a choice and I could
More
only
patches
save
than games.
if I could only save one studio, it'd be Bethesda. If those games were the only games I can ever play for the rest of my life, it'd be Bethesda. I love Fallout 76. I think it's a dope game. When it launched, wow, what a piece of garbage. It was fun, but it was fun garbage. And it still has a lot of issues. But I still love the game. I still think it's great, but I'm also not going to defend Bethesda constantly and be like, oh my god, this game's amazing. Because it's not. It's got issues. Shit happens. Games are hard to make. That's the thing. They're not easy.
Can I make a very, very brief interruption? That's
Yeah.
nothing related to what we talked about. It's just a message from Carl. And Carl
Okay.
says, Ray Tracing is a dodgy dude who lives down the street selling bootleg DVDs. Ray Tracing.
I love that. I love that. Oh my god.
But
Okay.
yeah, Fantasy Star Online 2, that's pretty good. That's pretty good to have on a Western console, because that's one
Happy.
of those games that we
Yeah.
haven't had on the PlayStation for
I'm
some
so
reason.
happy. So happy for all those Fantasy Star fans. Fantasy
Sounds like
Star
you're pretty
fans
angry right now.
that get that. I'm so happy for them that they get an awesome online sequel to a great game, brought to the West, even though it's been in Japan for a long time. Dragon's Dogma. Speaking of dragons, Dragon Quest XI is coming to Xbox One, and I had to hear that goddamn theme song again. Jesus. Like, it's not a bad song, but the fact that that's the only song they play at every trailer. Look, Dragon Quest XI, I played 2 hours of it. Art style's gorgeous, not my type of game, but it was cool. I'm super stoked it's coming to Xbox.
I played about 8 hours of it.
It's cool. I'm happy for all the fans out there, because there's probably a lot of Xbox fans that grew up playing those games. So.
Definitive edition as well, and it's coming to other consoles as well, like
Sorry.
PlayStation 4 and whatnot.
Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition, because it's Square Enix.
No, Dragon Quest XI S Echoes of Lucy's Age.
Jesus,
Definitive
you're right.
edition.
Oh my god. Yeah, Forza Motorsport, we already talked about that. Destiny 2 coming to Game Pass with all of its content, which is pretty cool. So, everything. So, Destiny 2, the first expansion, which I can't remember. I can't remember the second one, and then the third one was...
The only one to remember is Beyond the Light, which is coming up.
Third was
So,
Forsaken. Fourth was Shadowkeep, and then the next one is going to be Beyond Light, which I'm so excited for. God, I love Destiny is so cool. Bungie has made an amazing game world, and I love that game so much. And the fact that it's coming
yeah, I was
to
a huge Destiny guy as well.
dude, I'm so glad they're bringing it to Game Pass. For all the Xbox fans out there,
Those
that's
expansions
phenomenal.
really do add up in price when you look at them.
They
So,
do. The new one for the standard expansion, I think, is $40, which is
yeah,
crazy.
so just to have that all in Game Pass, which is what $15 where you are, and like £8 where I
Yeah,
am. It's a
yeah,
total bargain, honestly.
absolutely. I'm excited because they already confirmed this back in the announcement for this DLC, but all the not all the Destiny 2 is gonna get a free upgrade to the next gen consoles. So if you start playing on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, even if you own the game and you're not using Game Pass on Xbox, you're going to get the free upgrade to the next gen version. All your save data is going to carry over, and you can still play with the same generation or same family. So if I'm on PlayStation 5, I can still play with people on PlayStation 4 and then Xbox Series X and Xbox One, which is awesome. And I think they hinted at crossplay. There's already cross save, but I think they said they're wanting to do crossplay, which please. I love Destiny. It's so good.
I just don't.
Made from the creators of Halo.
Could you imagine crossplay between PC and Xbox? It's just all.
It'd be perfect because with next gen, we're going to get 60 FPS.
I know the controllers and keyboards. I'm always going to be on that side where
Most of it's PvE though, so it works out. For the PvP, I can understand how they might want to break that up and say you can either do crossplay in PvP or not crossplay.
Crucible, I just can't see it.
Yeah, Crucible, Gambit, all that stuff with Trials of Osiris would be. I wouldn't want to play against PC players unless I was playing on PC.
Yeah, exactly. You would get destroyed.
Yeah.
It's hard enough as it is, let alone.
Yeah, it's a very difficult game mode. That's basically all the standard things. The last two things we really need to talk about are
Stalk 2, State of Decay 3.
I
You
forgot
were
about
excited by Stalk 2, weren't you?
I was excited because I didn't know it had already been announced. Like I didn't know it was already a thing they were developing because I've never played Stalker. Like I never played the first two games. I think there's one game, but then the next one's like an expansion or whatever. But my cousin always talked about it and it always looked awesome. I just never got around to it. So them announcing Stalker 2 as someone who's not in that ecosystem was awesome. Like I'm excited to play that. State of Decay 2 is a great game. I really liked it. I hope 3 is amazing. I really do because I really like 2. But again, CG trailers. It didn't show anything. They didn't show gameplay. They didn't show anything like that. So kind of a bummer there. Same with like the Warhammer game. It looks cool, but again, CG trailer. So most of them were. But we did get the surprise announcement for Fable. And it was
wait. Dial it back before you get to the big
Go
topic.
for it.
Do you remember the gunk? There was all that gooey stuff, and the person had like a Ghostbusters vacuum.
You say it. I remember the name. I remember the title. I remember it being there. I don't remember anything about that game. I don't even remember what it looks like.
It looked very charming.
I hope it's cool. It'd be cool.
They had another narrative game, As Dusk Falls. I don't know if that does anything.
Oh god,
for you,
honestly, I thought that looked bad. I didn't like that art style at all. Where it was like 3-dimensional, but they used 2D images of characters, but they were like they weren't artist renderings and they weren't live action photos. It was like someone took a photo and then applied a filter to it to make it look hand drawn. I didn't like that. It turned me off to the art style. If they tweak that, if they make the characters look a bit more in line with the world, a bit more hand drawn looking, or a bit more realistic. But where it's at, it looks like one of those like comic book filters that just add lines everywhere to make it look hand drawn. I didn't think that looked that neat.
Okay, and the last thing for Fable was the Warhammer game, the co-op game.
Yeah, looks cool. Did you ever play the previous one, Vermintide?
No. Warhammer is one of those franchises. It's multimedia, isn't it? Warhammer is it?
Yeah.
Real life and
there's two different franchises. There's Warhammer, then there's Warhammer 40K. Those are the main ones anyway. Warhammer's more of your standard fantasy, and then 40K is your sci-fi.
Oh no, Gage! I fucked up. Sorry, no. You're talking about Warhammer. I've just realised there's a lot more games that we forgot to talk about.
But did we though?
Well, Everwild, very cool looking. Don't know what it's about, but it looked cool. Looked beautiful. Looked,
Is that
aesthetically
is that one of
pleasing.
the rare games?
Uh, who's doing it?
I think it
No,
was.
yeah, that's rare. That's rare. Indeed,
Okay.
it's rare.
It looked cool. Again, I honestly I haven't really cared about rare since GoldenEye. Sea of Thieves is pretty cool. Um,
You had the medium, which wasn't medium that one, but I had like So
that
this
one
is
looks
one
kind
that
of cool.
is using that technology where it's using
Wow.
basically two different worlds at the same time.
Yeah, fuck The Verge because they didn't have any of these things on their article. Wow.
I'm looking at the Xbox official thing. I'll send you the link now. But you had the medium where it was that game where you had two different stories happening at one
Yeah.
time, and I think you can switch between the two constantly.
Yep.
So that's very much the first next generation thing that I've sent it on the chat, but it's very much the first thing we saw that's really taking advantage of the Series X hardware.
Yeah, but even then, is it? Because Titanfall 2 did that.
Did it?
Yep. There's
No. Hang on. Look at the medium. Two different games running at the same time where you can switch between the two.
Titanfall 2, the time travel level.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Although Titanfall, it was a lot of the same assets when he switched. It would just change certain parts of them because it was
Mhm.
like either you're inside the hallway and it's perfect, then the next one it's all destroyed. The medium looks more like it's actually complete asset swaps, so it's not reusing anything. So that is pretty neat. But again, that doesn't really show me that it's a fast SSD. That just shows me that it has 16 gigs of RAM because you can just store all that stuff on the RAM and have it be like that. But there was
Okay.
nothing that showed off the SSD, which is kind of a disappointment. I'm gonna go to that link right now.
The other thing was Psychonauts 2.
Oh yeah,
I believe it's coming across all consoles anyway.
yeah. Again, it's not exclusive. Looks cool. I still haven't even played the first one. I own it. I started it. I really want to play it. It looks cool, but yeah, it's just
But cool reveal as well having Jack Black there.
yeah. I
which
love
was
Jack Black.
pretty neat.
I love Tim Schafer. I love Double Fine. It's just their games don't really hit with me. Like they're just not games I'm that into.
Mm.
Because they usually make like more narrative driven games or super weird wacky games that honestly Brutal Legend was the only one that I was actually super into. Even then it's because it was the only game I had at the time, so I was kind of stuck with it.
And pre-show we
Echo.
had Exo Mecha, which was that
That
mecha game.
it looked cool, but it also looked really janky. So I want to see more of it. I want to see more of it in once it's closer to launch because it just seemed very bare bones, like very generic environments with robots fighting each other. There wasn't a lot going on. Cool concept though. Like I want to see like in an urban environment. If you give me like, hey, big robots, now you're fighting in a city with destructible buildings, then hell yeah. But just like I'm on a beach and there's two robots fighting each other.
Just wait for Godzilla vs King Kong, the video game.
Oh God. What was that? Echo Generation. Again, I already forgot about that. Hello Neighbor. Again.
To be fair, these were all pre-show games rather than actually.
Okay, I didn't watch the fucking pre-show then, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to badmouth any of these games. I'm sure they're cool. I hope they do well. I just personally, a lot of them aren't my taste. I can say the same about some of the games they showed at the PlayStation conference, just not my taste. But I do wish the developers well. I hope everything works out. And the other cool thing, so we actually didn't talk about this yet before we get into Fable and Halo. Game Pass. Almost everything here, or if not everything here, is coming to Game Pass day and date, which is pretty neat. So yeah, $15 a month, and you're set. All these games.
I'm gonna put this to you.
So cool.
People talking about console wars and whatnot, and someone made this comment that whilst Sony's winning the console war, Microsoft are sort of shifting the game sort of not environment, the games industry around them. They're making it around them. They're sort of changing the whole games industry. What do you think of that comment with Games Pass and the console war and whatnot?
I think the console war in general is stupid. People give it too much attention. It's always going to exist no matter what. You have three major companies competing over hardware. They are constantly fighting to be the best. The console war, in theory, will always be a thing. It's just asshole gamers that take that to the next level and start talking shit. As far as what Xbox, yeah, Game Pass is cool. I think bringing it to all these games to the world as a subscription service, $15 a month, you get all these games. You can play every Halo game, every Gears game, every Fable game. A lot of third-party stuff. Every once in a while, Bethesda has stuff that cycles through. Right now, you can do Fallout 76 and Red Dead Redemption 2. So a lot of great games on Game Pass. But at the same time, PlayStation is bringing some of their big games to PC. You got Death Stranding and now Horizon Zero Dawn and coming to PC. So PlayStation's doing stuff too. It's not just Game Pass. It's the fact that I think the console makers in general are starting to acknowledge, Cat, what are you doing? Gamer first a lot more than anything else. So, I don't know. I think console wars are always going to be a thing. I love what Xbox is doing, but at the same time, PlayStation is doing cool shit too. So, I already forgot if that's basically what you asked or if I'm just rambling at this point.
No, it's just the fact that, look, Xbox don't need to have sort of these big titles, first party titles, because they're giving you Games Pass and you're getting all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're just basically saying that Xbox don't really care about the first party stuff anymore, and they're just worried about Games Pass and get you into that sort of ecosystem.
And that's probably true to an
what
extent.
I was insinuating.
Yeah. Which sucks because they've got a lot of good first party IPs that just being neglected.
So before you talk about Fable and Halo Infinite, I'll say from that sort of conference, the only big thing apart from Fable and Halo, I was really drawn in by was Avowed.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see more of what Everwild is going to end up being, but
definitely
for sure, Avowed was the only thing that I was like, okay, apart from the obvious two, this is the only thing I'm really interested in.
Yeah, definitely.
There wasn't much, unlike the Sony one where you had all these bangers left, right, and center, and you're like, I want to play all of these immediately. Xbox didn't really have anything for me personally. It was whatever for me.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that overall. It was just kind of a second conference in a row that was kind of a dud. Some cool stuff shown.
We didn't even get any Valhalla gameplay. That's a little joke.
Jesus. No, that does kind of stem into my critique of their marketing that we're going to get into with Halo. But first, I want to talk about Fable. It exists. All right, Halo.
We sort of knew it exists. Yeah, basically.
What is there to talk about? There's nothing. Yeah, it's like
confirmation of it.
There was already rumors that Playground was going to start developing it, and then they showed it off, and it's like, okay,
when's it coming out, Gage? When's it coming out? Tell me.
God, 2023. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a game that should take too long to make. Like Fable.
We know it's not coming in the next 2 years, though.
Yeah, I think 2023, 2024 at the latest. It's coming out before Elder Scrolls 6, I can tell you that.
A lot of things are coming out before Elder Scrolls 6.
So I want to point that out as well. Bethesda nailed how you do that. They put out, they were getting ready to gear up for Fallout 76, and they're straight up like, hey, here's our next big game with Starfield, and then we're also working on the next one, and they show the Elder Scrolls 6 title, and they prefaced it by saying, these are games coming a long ways out, we're focusing on this one right now, here's the next one.
Yeah.
I feel like what Xbox did was just didn't even say that, they just played a trailer, and it was like, it's real, we're not going to tell you anything about it, we're not going to tell you if there's any time it's going to come out, or tell you what the game is, but it's just Fable.
I guess the other criticism is that a lot of these games you're not going to see on Series X for quite some time. Which is probably why they had to include certain things in there, just to be like, look, we are working on these games, but they're just not ready yet.
That's probably it too.
Which makes sense because Xbox has been buying these first-party studios, but they're not necessarily going to be ready to show off their stuff.
Bethesda's not trying to sell hardware. They're just trying to make games. Xbox needs to sell their Xbox, and they just showed a couple CG announcements, but
Now,
didn't.
do they need to sell their Xbox, or do they need to sell their Games Pass
I
now?
think they do. Game Pass is huge, but if they didn't need to sell this Xbox, they wouldn't be making it the most powerful console in the world and toting it as the most powerful console in the world. That shit ain't cheap to make. Like, it's
Actually, no, you're
expensive to do that.
actually stupid comment for me, because it's like, well, of course they do, because like iPhones, and the reason why they've got so many different models now is because they want you to get you into the ecosystem by any means, even if it's a cheap iPhone. So you can
Exactly.
buy your Apple Care, you can buy your Apple Music or whatever, and start paying you big bucks for those services.
Yeah.
Oh, you pay them
Give me
big
one
bucks
second.
for
I
those
gotta shut the
services.
door, or else the cat is gonna bother me again.
The cat's bothering him, people. But yeah, Apple are really good in the fact that they're making models now to compete with Android. In the sense that they're more cheaper. Whilst on the Android market, we've always had different phones at cheap prices to get you into that ecosystem. So that's kind of what Xbox is probably trying to do now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fable. Woo! Halo Infinite. Halo. They
So it
since
looked like Halo. So that's good.
ever since they announced the new Xbox, this was the game they were talking about. Like, oh, we're bringing it back to X, and when the Xbox launched, it launched with Halo, and so we're proud to announce the next generation is going to launch with Halo as well. Cool. And after all this time, they're finally like, we're going to show you campaign footage, and they lead with it. And
So the
God,
dope CG trailer before that was like, oh, this is pretty high. This is pretty high.
it was. The game looks so fun. I can't wait to play it. It looks like a great Halo game. It looks like a lot of fun. Holy shit, were they playing it on Xbox One X? No, they weren't. They weren't even playing it on an Xbox. According to Aaron Greenberg, the Xbox marketing GM, uh, stated. Let's see, where is? I want to see the exact quote. I've got it here, but
Just
of course,
breathe
IGN
in,
is
breathe
doing a
in.
really
It'll be
shitty job.
fine.
Basically, that was an early build demo. They were playing on a PC that resembles the specs of an Xbox Series X, which worries the hell out of me for one of two reasons. Either one, the Xbox Series X is in trouble, and for whatever reason they couldn't manage to record it on an Xbox Series X, which doesn't make any sense. Or two, Halo's in trouble because the current build isn't running properly on Xbox Series X, so they had to use an old build on PC. That's what I get out of that.
Is there any room to say, oh, coronavirus, just stop it, plans, couldn't
That's
do
what
it?
he said. Listen, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. It's July. We're far from launch and holiday. You're seeing a work in progress game.
Oh no! Oh
Um,
no!
yes, we are in a pandemic. Naughty Dog and Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch just both shipped games in the middle of the pandemic. Cyberpunk is still on track to release in November. They're working on it. It's middle of the pandemic. There's a lot of developers making their games in the middle of this pandemic. That's not a very good excuse because clearly people have proven they can work from home. Also, a work in progress game. This game is what, 4 months out?
Yeah, they can't say that.
It
That
shouldn't look like
that
this. The
that
Last
is
of Us,
shocking.
The Last of Us Part 2 in I think it was 2018. So 2 years before it launched at E3 showed a gameplay demo that looked almost identical to how the game looks now. I'm not into the AAA space, but based on my knowledge and what I've been doing, you do not make complete assets for every piece of your game that are low quality to then replace later on with full quality assets. That takes twice as much time. You don't just go, we're going to make a build of the game and use, the half quality assets that we built from scratch and then make new ones later on. That's not how you do it. For levels, you just do placeholders. You don't build out the level for placeholder. You just put random untextured blocks and geometry to get it down, and then you eventually have your art team make the shit you put in the game. Or you have high quality stuff that you then scale back. Not vice versa, because that just seems like poor time management to make a full build of a game using assets that look like their current generation, and then you're going to replace them? If that build that we saw is all running those assets at their native quality, It's not as simple as polishing the game and saying, well, now these textures are 4K, because you can't just upscale a 2K texture to 4K or 8K. Because the data is still only in 2K, it gets blown out, it looks like crap. If you make high quality assets, you can put them in, oh, it doesn't run super well, you can just scale those back a little bit, and then it works. Because they're built in a high quality, you can cut those assets down in quality if you need to. It just doesn't make sense that they keep saying it's a work in progress. It's an early PC build running on equivalent Xbox Series X specs, and they're going to take the next 4 months to polish up the graphics.
Oh, no. That is shocking. That is shocking. I can't believe this.
So he continued to say the stream itself may be part of the response. It's very hard to show the full power and graphical fidelity of what Xbox Series X will be able to deliver for you over stream. Go back and look at it in 4K 60. The game looked worse in 4K. I watched the compressed stream on my garbage internet, and I thought it looked great. The moment I saw the official 4K screenshots and then rewatched the 4K visuals, it looked so much worse. Again, still looks fun, but no, the game itself looks current gen. They couldn't even have ray tracing in it. Like, that's what worries me the most, is the fact that they're using, essentially, current generation assets with no ray tracing. Nothing about that said it's next gen. Nothing about that made me want to buy an Xbox Series X. I want to play that game on Xbox One X. And that is a huge issue. And the fact that they're defending it is kind of irritating to me. Because again, I don't think Aaron Greenberg is full of shit. Like, I don't think he's lying to us. But I don't know. I feel like there's disinformation or maybe a disconnect between the people at Xbox and the fans, or between the studios and the executives. I don't know what's going on, but these are bad excuses, frankly. I think they're I don't know, tone deaf, or I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
After last generation, they need to come out strong, right? And they're doing good by, the Games Pass stuff, having xCloud be a part of Games Pass and whatnot. But in terms of the things that will sell the consoles to the mainstream, to people who don't really understand or know, or not even conscious of what Games Pass is, the average consumer, not doing much.
Yeah, the fact that the other big thing too is they didn't specify on stream that it didn't have ray tracing. That came out in a interview with one of 343's developers, or maybe it was the head of the studio, put that out during like a Q&A. So there's people who have been told the Xbox Series X is the most powerful console in the world, who have been told about ray tracing, who see this and they think that's what it is, and now they're excited for it. They don't even know that they didn't actually see the ray tracing or see what next gen's capable of. So I'm worried either they're going to feel lied to because they were expecting something more, or they're going to see this and go, that's what next gen is, and have disinformation and think they know what ray tracing is or something. It just seems like a really shoddy delivery of their console specs and the game and what it means to work on a game, because it just seems wrong to have a game that's been in development for 5 years with a $500 million budget apparently, that is months away from launch, and they're not showing it running on the console that it's supposed to launch with. It just doesn't make any sense.
Here's a question. Now, considering that this, I don't know if it is or if it's not, but considering this is that big open world game that everyone's talking about, does that give it some credence?
No.
Does that give it some space?
No, it's not art style. It's not because it's open world. Xbox One X is able to run Fallout 4, Skyrim Special Edition, and Red Dead Redemption 2 at full 4K resolution, 30 frames per second. The amount of power the Series X has can easily make all three of those, at Witcher 3 as well, might I add, all four of those games can easily run at 60 frames per second. If they don't touch the graphics at all and keep it at 4K resolution with the current graphics settings, those games can, without any issue, hit 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X hardware. Those games are way better looking. Well, Fallout 4 and Skyrim look great, but they look a bit older. Witcher 3 looks great, but has a specific art style. But Red Dead Redemption 2 arguably looks better than any other open world game out there right now. And the fact that Halo Infinite doesn't look that good, even though it's 4K 60. Like, Red Dead 2 can run at 4K 60 on that amount of hardware. It's not hard, and still look better, and still have one of the biggest worlds in gaming
Just from
right
the
now.
art style argument, by the way, there was one example we can give where when people say, "Oh, it's the art style," that's why it doesn't look as good as some other games. Well, no, you've got stuff like Ratchet and Clank that's got a distinct art style, but the game and the world looks phenomenal.
Distinct art style that's not like the most mind-blowing graphics ever, but it still showed off the SSD and the ray tracing of the PlayStation 5. Halo Infinite did none of that for the Xbox. So I'm going to bring up some of these screenshots.
Oh no, oh no.
Where are they at? Why is it all bullcrap? I want the actual official release. Okay, I want the actual 343 release, please. Come on.
Also, I've been enjoying the memes.
Yeah, they're great. Those are fantastic. So, okay, I guess I'm going to Twitter. Open new tab.
But yeah, when they showed the trailer for the first time, I was a bit quiet because I was waiting to see what someone else said, but I was like, this doesn't strike me as next generation.
Okay,
This doesn't
so
strike me as something that's been worked on,
I'm
for a long time.
okay. This is definitely not the 4K version of the image, but it's still pretty representative of it. Wow, it's a 680 by 383 resolution. Holy crap! Hold on, let me try to find the actual 4K because I want to bring it up for the video. You won't be able to see it, but the VOD will have it. And I actually want to go over.
No snide comments there.
Let me go to Twitter real quick and go to the Halo page because I think they posted the link. Because I actually want to show why it isn't art style and it's actually just low quality assets, and how it's assets that wouldn't even look that bad on an Xbox or Xbox One X. Also, come on, Xbox, get better names for your consoles, please. God dang. July 24th, July 24th.
The names are optimized for the console.
God, no. Okay, so... Oh my god.
I am shocked we saw nothing of multiplayer. Like, you're showing stuff about Halo, but nothing about multiplayer, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Because I was convinced that would end with, like, it would end with, like, Battle Royale Halo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I just don't understand what they're doing, sort of, for this generation. And then, they did say that there's other first parties working on stuff, and they'll show it in due course. But
Yeah.
I really can't imagine if there's going to be anything of interest after this.
Okay, that's interesting. So, if you want, let me copy the link and I'm going to send it over to you real quick. That way, if you want, you can look at the same images I'm looking at when we're talking about them. Okay, I posted it in another chat. So the first one I'm looking at is the very first screenshot of Chief and Pilot. And I want to say this one does look pretty good because, again, it's a kind of close-up. Obviously, these cutscenes are not pre-rendered. They do look like they're running in-game, which is pretty cool. I'm glad they're taking that direction. For the most part, there's some good detail here. The hair on the pilot looks good. The skin looks okay. The clothing is...
And now you become a fashion guru.
So the material work on the fabric is decent. But it doesn't scream next gen. And we saw that close-up of Miles Morales' spider suit, and it looks phenomenal. Chief's armor looks, again, fine. I mean, it looks good. Like, it looks amazing. But if you zoom in to his back, so like the back of the Chief's helmet primarily, as well as the back of his armor and his gun, there's some weird artifacting that I don't know if is just compression from the image or if it's, I don't know, some sort of anti-aliasing is not too great on the depth of field or what, but there's this weird kind of artifacting around his armor. Again, these are just screenshots running in 4K. Yikes, his hip armor looks rough. That is kind of jagged right there. Again, not terrible.
And this is like the first minute.
Yeah.
You still had disappointment to come.
Again, it doesn't look terrible. It just doesn't scream next gen to me. Now the next one I'm looking at is the one that this next one down is just Master Chief. So it's just a single, image of him. He looks great. Again, his visor would have been perfect to show off ray tracing. Those reflections, if those were ray traced and you were able to see the pilot moving and reflect everything else in the Pelican, I guess it's not a Pelican dropship, it's a different type of dropship, I think. It'd be really cool.
Told you.
But like that would really show off ray tracing if we would have been able to see it in his visor. Again, the right side of his helmet, we get that weird artifacting. Again, I don't know if it. Oh, whoa! I zoomed in really close there. I don't know if it's just compression for the image or what. But there is some strange artifacting there that is only visible on the edges. So I think it might have to do with the depth of field. The next one I think is the Chief and Vista. Yeah. This is the one where it's gameplay footage. And this is the first big oof.
Oh, everyone's favorite person.
So, just the gun. The gun is just not detailed.
Wait, those are guns?
So, the...
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the
fourth one. So, the Chief and Vista image.
Yeah, I'm there.
Open that one up, too. Again, the gun just looks...
It looks like Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's just like highly detailed. Like, there's a lot of games that have amazing work on the guns where you can see scratches and stuff like that. This game doesn't have that. It's just kind of a blank texture. There's no specularity to it. There's no reflections or shininess on the gun, so it doesn't even really look like metal. It looks like plastic. Honestly,
right. You're right. It actually does look like plastic.
Chief's armor looks pretty decent here. Actual in-game render. Again, the amount of triangles and the type of resolution you can get on textures in current gen, Master Chief doesn't look too great, especially comparing him to like the amount of geometry and texture quality on Ellie or Kratos or Arthur Morgan. It feels like Master Chief should be a bit more detailed, I guess. Some of the textures do just look a little bit muddy, but not too bad. But that background, though, the fucking trees, dude. Oh my god.
Oh, come on. Let's not do the video game thing of the trees. We've had it with Pokemon, now we're having it with this.
No, this is unacceptable, though. If you zoom, like, there's not even that many trees, but zoom into the trees on the right hand of the image. They're clearly low-quality 2D billboards. Those aren't even three-dimensional trees.
The ones on top of the building. It's just like,
dude, it's like... Building? I don't know what it's supposed to be, but just look how bad those trees look. And the problem is, we see them later on closer, and they look the same. In the gameplay, you also see a lot of pop-in with a lot of the particle effects in the background. They have pop-in. This game has pop-in and low-quality assets everywhere. The thing is, again, even running on an Xbox One X, there's enough hardware power there that little amount of trees should be able to render at higher qualities. Don't have to be breathtaking, but those are extremely low quality, even for like base PlayStation 4, Xbox One standards. And they're so sparse. It's kind of insane. The next one is the... Oh, God. Yeah. The Escharum, or whatever his name is. Just the one that's of the Brute General.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Honestly, up close... Jesus.
So how are you gonna play this game? Just looking at people and
okay.
like... Shit.
His eyebrows don't look too bad. His beard doesn't look too bad. Although his beard, if you watch the gameplay, isn't rendered, or it's rendered. It's not attached to his chin, and then that's it. It's actually attached in multiple places. So as he moves, the beard flexes simultaneously with his mouth, which makes no sense. Because the beard is clearly not resting on his armor. So why is it moving when he speaks? The beard should be attached to his chin.
As you can tell, Gage's qualification on beards is... Oh, wait. Gage hasn't got a beard.
Shut up.
Sorry, dude.
Again, the biggest thing with him is just the texture. It feels like it's a bit too low quality. Like, it looks like it's maybe a 2K resolution texture. They could easily push a 4K. Again, Kratos looks way better than this, running on a base PS4.
Have a look at his teeth.
No, I don't want to. I looked at him enough. The next one, I believe, is the Ring Vista image, is the one that shows off the rifle. Again, it looks like a plastic gun.
It looks like Halo.
It does, but it doesn't look like next-gen Halo, which is sad. And again, I know...
The more I see the trees at the bottom and stuff like that,
I know.
I'm actually just like...
I feel like we're focusing...
The textures of the mountains and stuff like that just doesn't look like...
Again, let me move it over here. Again, I know we're nitpicking, we're focusing on a lot here, but it's like...
You could tell me this was like the collection, and I'd be like,
yes,
oh, right,
exactly.
Yeah,
this was supposed to be Halo on next gen. They've been spouting about it for years, and it looks so fun to play, but...
Hey, but Gage, just because they're supporting cross-console doesn't mean that you're going to have games that, are affected by it. They're going to take the full advantage of Xbox Series X, dude.
Oh my god. The image of the Chief and Grapple looks cool. Again, there's not much to talk about as far as quality. There's the Brute with the drop pod.
Don't go Brute, dude.
There's the Warthog and Vista image. See, this doesn't look too bad because you do get a lot of grass on the ground, which is pretty nice to look at. But, again, when you zoom into the grass, you can tell that it's kind of low quality. There's quite a bit of it. It looks pretty good, but Ghost of Tsushima has these dense fields that look amazing. Even though the assets aren't super high quality, it looks great. These assets are low quality, but kind of sparse. They look fine.
And the lighting does a lot for the grass as well in Ghost.
Yeah, and you're not seeing any of that here, which sucks. But again, you look at the tree on the left that's up close, it looks current gen as hell. That looks like a Skyrim tree from the PS3, actually. There's barely any geometry on those branches compared to what other games are able to do. But you literally move over a bit to the right and you get the next level of detail. And then you get the one after that. Those two trees right in front of the Warthog don't look great, but then the ones behind those are still so close to the player, and they already look so muddy. And there's not even that many, so there's not that much geometry needing to be rendered yet. It still just looks bad. God.
So it's safe to say you weren't too hot on what they showed you.
It's not on the visuals. Like, I want to play it. It looks so fun, but... the fact that they didn't even show this on Xbox Series X, they showed it on a PC running similar hardware without ray tracing, without showing off the power of the SSD, without showing off next gen.
And was this a misstep for Xbox then, showing this without?
Yes.
So you would have delayed the whole.
I would have. They could have done this whole thing,
until...
and they could have just said, "Hey, our big thing this time, instead of having Halo, they could have showed Gears 5 running on Series X." That could have been the first 8 minutes, is showing Gears 5 and Forza Horizon 4 running on Series X. And they could have shown us Halo in 2 months and been like, we're finally showing off Halo. Everybody would have been so starved for it, and they could have shown it on Series X. They could have shown it with ray tracing to some extent. It doesn't have to be the full ray tracing they're going to put it out after launch, but just a baseline ray tracing.
Here's a price, finally.
Yeah. They should have done that, but they jumped the gun, and... oh my god. Okay, I'm on the battle image. And this is the image that straight up looks like Halo 2 Anniversary. Everything from the trees that looks so bad.
I'm not gonna lie, I just shut down the thing because I'm like, I can't look at this.
The landscape, That grunt is super pixelated. Again, I think it's because the depth of field is just not great. But the brutes, the grunts, the ground.
Yeah, the ground is the shocking thing. like oh man. But so you're saying
The grass behind the brute. Oh my god, on the left hand
in an
side.
open world game,
Okay,
you can't even excuse this.
I'm gonna bring up an image of Red Dead 2 on Xbox One X. Okay, hold on. Okay, it's not popping up there.
Because gameplay wise, you're quite happy though, aren't you?
Yeah, gameplay wise, it looks amazing. I can't wait to play it. It's gonna be so much fun. But
Why do you think they haven't shown any multiplayer whilst you're searching for an image?
dude,
I'm so confused by that.
I feel like the game is kind of not doing well. That's why. Like, I honestly think it's because it's not doing super well.
I mean, they sacked off last generation. You'd expect they would have had their ducks in a row by now, because that's all they've been focusing on. That, and obviously their sort of offering to Games Pass and
God damn it,
working on the
Eurogamer.
xCloud.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if this is like an 80 or a 90. You know.
Yeah. Okay, I don't want the comparison. I just literally want to see the Xbox One X, please.
Yeah, Gage is very passionate about his game
Shit.
development, and
God damn it, come on.
he's actually working on a couple of games himself. Who knows when that will be ready? Will it come up before Everworld? Who knows?
Okay, already right here you can kind of tell that...
What if Gage is working on Fable?
Dude, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to work on Fable. So Xbox One X
Have you
Red Dead
thought
Redemption
about-
2.
Oh, have you got the image up now?
Yeah, I've got the image up.
Okay, cool.
And the ground, again, current gen, still looks a bit better than Halo Infinite, even up close. Doesn't look next gen, but still looks pretty good. Arthur Morgan looks good. The horses look good. But the moment you get to the distance, you're looking maybe 70 feet off. The trees are still high quality, and they're dense. I can't spot any trees that look as bad, even off in the distance, as what Halo has.
What about the ground? How's the ground looking?
The ground is, again, not much better, but it is better. Especially the foliage. So the ground texture work is fairly similar, but the amount of foliage and the quality of it with the grass looks way better. This is a first-person view screenshot. Again, the grass there compared to the grass there on the side of the brute and the groundwork right there compared to that. Red Dead looks better. And it looks like Halo Infinite. I can't tell if that's tessellation on the ground or if that's just a really good material with a high quality normal map and bump map and everything, but I don't know. It's just...
So, is 343 ever going to step out of Bungie's shadow?
No, I don't think so. There's Red Dead Redemption 2, Xbox One X, 4K at 30 frames per second.
So I don't really need
Snow
to ask
simulation, cloth simulation.
who won E3, quote unquote, because I think it's quite clear from your tone who you think won E3.
Damn it. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. So far, PlayStation has shown off a lot more. Another thing too, I'm gonna see if I can bring up PlayStation 5 screenshots. See if anybody actually has real screenshots from their games. Nope, that's Last of Us Part 2, but even then it looks way better than Halo Infinite.
So, Phil Spencer says, you know what, Gage, you're totally right. We're so sorry. We messed this up. 2 months' time, we're going to show you something. What do you want them to show you?
Show me the exact same demo for Halo Infinite. The exact same demo. I want to play it the exact same way. Just make it look better. Okay, just... Like, the trees in the far distance, sure, they can look kind of crappy. But the ones that are that close to the camera, no. Those need to be three-dimensional, have geometry.
So you want the textures to be touched up a lot more?
Everything. All the material work. I want the textures to be higher quality. I want the LOD distance to be pushed out so the trees are higher quality the further out they are. Give me some baseline ray tracing. Let me see reflections in the Chief's visor, okay? Just basic stuff like that. overall the texture work everywhere looks like garbage, needs to be dealt with. But yeah, there's just overall looking at the density of the foliage being decent but low quality, the groundwork not looking great, the guns, like, put some scratches on the guns. I mean, come on, give it some detail to make it look like metal. Make the assault rifle more of a black color, gunmetal, rather than gray, because it literally looks like it's made of plastic. Again, I'm gonna look up Call of Duty.
He can't be stopped.
Modern
It started.
Warfare
Done.
guns. See if I can find an image of a gun from Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
That's you're going to what people are talking about now. Is that Call of Duty's got a completely different art direction to what Halo's got. So why would you
Okay. Halo Reach gun.
Oh no.
Just from this image alone, that assault rifle has so much more detail in it. Obviously, you can tell by the little nub right here, less polygon count because it's a bit more blocky looking. But the actual texture work, you can see scuffs. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry. There you guys go. You can see scuffs up there on the top of the gun. All these little dings. The paint is scratched up. It looks like it's been messed up quite a bit. Ah, damn it. Got scratches on the butt of the gun here. Some scuffs. Looks like it's got dirt on it. Like, there's just detail to the gun model that is lacking in Halo Infinite. It's like they took a grayscale color, put it on there, and said, yep, looks like an assault rifle. Whereas all these guns actually have, life to them. They look real. Okay, I guess don't zoom in the image anymore. Fine. But yeah, that's something that I'm kind of bummed out about. Move that back over here.
Yeah, fair to say you're very disappointed.
As far as Halo's visuals went, yes, 100%. Gameplay looks super cool, but visually speaking, I am left greatly underwhelmed. They needed to come out of the gate and they needed to say, this is what the Series X can do, and they didn't. And we're so close. We're literally months away. And they still haven't shown me why I should look at an Xbox Series X as my next console. So.
The differences between the X version, so Xbox One X, and the Series X version, is it just what? Graphic fidelity and...
so far, probably nothing. Honestly, it looks like it's running on an Xbox One X. I'm sure the Series X is going to have the ray tracing and higher quality assets, but we haven't seen them yet, so I don't know. For a quick demonstration, everyone, here's basically ray tracing. Right there, nothing's reflected on that car except for the basic cube maps of the world, so you just kind of see the outline of the... Oh my god. Jesus, I fucking hate websites, dude.
I thought you were just getting really depressed about looking at these screenshots again.
That too.
Because that's how I imagine when you first saw them, you're just like,
a little bit.
No.
But basically, reflections are just most reflective surfaces just show off cube maps of the world. So static images, ray tracing, one of the things it can do is add real-time reflections for things that are being rendered off-screen, even behind the player. One of the coolest things was Battlefield 5. Ray tracing allows you to see your character's face in the scope. The reflection of the scope allows you to see your character's face, which is wild. Which would be cool to see that in Master Chief's visor, to see what's going on. But I think honestly they should have pushed the Halo reveal for their next big thing, and have it run on an Xbox Series X and have it look the way it's supposed to look. Don't run it on PC. Don't run an early build. Like, don't say it's a work in progress, because the last 4 months of a AAA game that has been in development for 5 years should not still be considered work in progress when it comes to visuals. At that point, most of the visual assets should be finished, and they should be focusing on fixing bugs, getting the multiplayer to work right, getting all that stuff, like the back end stuff that makes the game work.
Is this being delayed?
No. No. That's why ray tracing is coming in a patch. Because they're not going to push this game. They're not going to. They're launching with it. So that's why ray tracing isn't going to be a thing for a while, because they're going to sacrifice parts of this game to get it out on time. Because, again, kind of harkening back to what I was saying way earlier, I think the biggest flaw with Xbox is I don't think their executives understand the fundamentals of game development. Either that, or 343 isn't great at what they do. Which wouldn't surprise me either, because clearly Halo 4 and Halo 5 were not great games, and they continue to do things that aren't great. So it could also just be the studio itself.
That's not a popular opinion either.
Yeah. And again, number one Halo fan.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. But, like, dude, playing...
Yeah, I know how excited you were when you first got that CD trailer, and then
I was
to
so
see
excited.
how you, after the conference, how you sort of broke it down. You're like, oh no.
It's like, look, man.
And you haven't stopped mentioning it since, which is shows you care.
It reminds me of Fall of Reach. Amazing book, bad movie. Where they took this amazing Halo story that describes the birth of the Spartans, the initial attack of the Covenant on Reach, and the death of every Spartan except for Master Chief, and Kelly, I believe, is the one who didn't die, but was severely injured. And then they made him...
Did you say Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly.
It's Kelly!
Jesus.
That's
They made a movie about it, and it was okay, but changed some stuff that I didn't like. And then we get like Halo 4.
The stuff we did get. Let's talk about the stuff we did get with Halo Infinite.
Like what?
Rule 34, baby.
Dude, that's been around forever, man. No, it's just, again, it's just my own personal disappointment.
By the way, to anyone that's listening.
I'm excited to see what Xbox does. I'm excited to see what 343 does. I can't wait to play Halo Infinite, but yeah, I just think once again, Xbox proves that they're just bad at marketing, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, as much as Phil Spencer's trying to do the right thing, he's messed up himself by trying to compare Xbox to what PlayStation put out.
Yeah, and again,
it's 9 days as far as I'm concerned.
I've seen some interviews and stuff like that, but it's hard to get a full grasp on stuff because you're watching them talk to someone else. They're asking their own questions and stuff. Like, hey, Aaron Greenberg, Phil Spencer, I know we're small, but if you would be willing to come on and talk about this, I would absolutely love to. I want to hear, or anybody like 343 or Xbox, I don't care. Just, I would love to talk with somebody on the inside. Just talk about it. Let's just talk about why this went this way. And again, I'm not trying to shit on it. Excited for Halo Infinite. But, you know, why doesn't it look next gen? Why was it on a PC? A lot of the stuff probably can't be talked about because it's, you know, NDAs and stuff like that. But whatever you can talk about, feel free to let me know and let's work out something and make a video about it. It's never gonna happen. Nobody's ever gonna come on this show. We're too small. And they just...
I can't wait till episode 522 where we play this clip back and it's like, look at us.
Look at us. That was the day Xbox blacklisted us for shitting on them for an hour and a half.
No, it's constructive criticism, right? If you can't have that,
at least I hope it's constructive criticism. That's what I'm trying to get.
You're making points and you're explaining why you think that, and you're showing us why you think that. It's not like herder. Look at this guy's face.
I hope that's how people take it though, at least, because I'm not the best at explaining things, as that Twitter exchange proved the other day. But yeah, again, excited for the game. I'm not trying to shit on it needlessly. I'm just pointing out the actual issues that I think everybody should have. Even if you're a hardcore Xbox fan, you're excited for Halo Infinite. Like, don't turn a blind eye to this. Like, this is something that, even if this is what the game ends up looking like, Xbox should at least own that. don't come out and say it's a work in progress or it's made in a pandemic or there's still time for it to look better. It's like, no, if this is what the game's going to look like, say it. Or if this is an early build, tell us why. Why is this the one we saw? Are they having issues with something or whatever it is? Just don't bullshit us, please. Like, please don't bullshit us.
They can't, but they can't afford to, not do that because of when the launch is. It's like July now. You got 4 months.
Yeah.
Or so.
I just feel like honesty would go a long way in times like this. Because, like, oh, God.
On to politics.
No, but, like, studios have done that in the past, so they've come out and they said stuff like CD Projekt Red at, like, the beginning of the year, because, like, Cyberpunk was supposed to come out in, like, March or whatever, and they came out and were like, hey, we're delaying it, because the game's pretty much finished, it just doesn't run on consoles right now. Like, they straight up said, it's not working on consoles well. It's like, cool, they're being honest, they're telling us exactly why. When Naughty Dog pushed Last of Us by 2 weeks, they were like, hey, the game's done, there's some bugs we want to get ironed out before the game comes out. Cool.
And credit to them, like, when I played Last of Us Part 2, I didn't have any sort of problem at all with that game.
Other than my PlayStation 4 sounding like it's going to explode, which is another reason...
I think that's more of a PlayStation thing rather than... Yeah.
Yeah, that, again, I'm bringing that up. That's another reason why I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima. I'm terrified. I'm terrified to play that game.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Battlefront 2...
It's not like Call of Duty.
No, that's the thing, though. So, I can't play Final Fantasy VII Remake in 4K. I have to drop it down to 1080p because I had it overheat on me once. I stopped playing Doom Eternal because that overheated on me. The other day, I dropped Battlefront 2 down to 1080p, which is what I've been playing it with, because it runs so loud. It overheated on me at 1080p. I had to drop it to 720p. Again, the fan on my PlayStation works. I've cleaned it out. The problem, I think, is the thermal paste. It's not a GPU issue because I'm lowering resolution, so there's something there if it's the CPU heating up, if I don't know what it is, but it's not the GPU, clearly. But I tried to tear down my PlayStation 4 Pro to replace the thermal paste, but I couldn't disconnect the power supply. I tried to pull that sucker off, and it got to the point where it's like, I feel like I'm going to break it. Like, I'm pulling so hard on this thing, and if I pull any harder, it's going to break. So I just gave up, and I'm like, you know what? PS5's coming out in a couple months. I just got to deal with it right now. But that's another reason why I haven't played Ghost, is like, I'll play it on PlayStation 5, backward compatible.
Dude, if that gets some sort of like PlayStation 5 patch on top of what we've already seen.
I have a feeling most first-party games are going to have something. A lot of the times, I think it's just going to be native 4K, 60 frames per second. Like, I don't think we're going to get much graphical fidelity boosts, but I can see Last of Us...
just like that, because right now we have to split between do you want better frame rate or do you want better graphical fidelity? You can't have both at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'd love that.
I'm really I can't wait for PlayStation 5. I'm really hoping Death Stranding gets a full 4K 60 FPS mode, because I love that game, and I would love to play that. Last of Us Part 2, Red Dead 2, God of War, all these games at full 4K resolution, 60 FPS. It'd be phenomenal.
Well, you won't believe what I'm starting, and talking about resolutions and graphical upgrades and whatnot. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which runs at top like 548 or something stupid like that. That's at top, by the way. I'll have to send you the article. You're gonna. Oh, dude, I can't believe how they've gotten away with it. But I still bought it. But oh, dude, I'll have to share the article because you're gonna have a good laugh out of it.
That's, oh my god, even for Switch, that's bad. Wow.
Yeah, that's at max it will run at that.
Jesus, dude, that's it's standard definition.
They're comparing it to like the Wii version and whatnot.
Yeah, you gotta send me that article. I want to read up on that. That's awesome.
Oh dear, but yeah, that's been another edition of the Sass cast. Have you got any ideas for next week? I was probably thinking maybe looking at what's coming out later on in the year and seeing what we think is going to be the big hitters for the rest of the year, because I think now we're halfway through the years. I think we've had Sony's last first party game before the next generation. I believe. But yeah, I think it'd be good to have.
Fun to go off and see what we're going to see the remainder of the year. Yeah.
Have you seen any of the PlayStation sales at the moment?
I've looked at some of them. Yeah.
I'm going to be buying a few games.
Nice.
We won't be playing them anytime soon, but I'll be playing them. I'm buying them.
There's some good stuff on there, that's for sure. Um, if you haven't already, buy Bloodborne, please. It's a great game. Bloodborne's the way to go. I think it's on sale right now, so buy Bloodborne. I don't care who you are, buy it. Even if you have an Xbox, buy Bloodborne.
Seriously. It's definitely one of those games I need to play before generation ends.
Dude.
Because
Oh
I know
my God.
I know everyone's like,
It's like,
during the beginning they're like, okay, whatever, but then something happens to them. And I
Yeah.
can't describe what it is, but something happens to them where they're just like,
took
oh
me
my
a
God.
couple hours where I'm
Oh
like,
my
okay,
God.
this game is fine. I don't understand the hype. And then about 3 hours in, I don't know if it was a boss fight or a different part of the world, but something just clicked and I realized this is the best game ever made. It's so good. Oh my God, I love Bloodborne.
Brian Altano was one of those people that that I remember listening to him on Beyond, and he did not like that game. He didn't like it at all.
Dude.
And I think a few months later, he went back to it. He played Bloodborne again, and now he doesn't stop talking about it on Twitter.
Exactly.
And everything.
I played it and was like, this game's not that great. Took months off, came back to it. I'm like, oh shit, best game ever. It's kind of what happened to me with Control. I didn't dislike Control, but I played 2 hours of it or so, and was like, this is cool, but it's not vibing with me yet. And I didn't play it for like a year. No, it hasn't been out a year. Yeah, it has. I think it just hit its 1 year
Oh,
anniversary.
Bloodborne's been out for years now. I'd say.
Yeah, I mean Control. I mean.
Oh.
And then a couple months ago, I picked it back up. It's like, I'm gonna start playing Control, and then instantly was like, this game is phenomenal. Like, oh my God.
Right now, you can find Bloodborne for about £12 physical as well.
Dude. It's a cheap game, especially if you can get that for cheap and then buy the expansion. You're in for a horrible time because it's brutal. It's fun though. It's fun though. Fairly easy platinum. Takes a lot of time, but it's doable. Definitely doable.
Easy platinum once you get used to the hard gameplay.
Oh yeah, I wanted to kill myself a couple times, but I got it.
Well, that's right. You don't have to kill yourself. The rest of the world will do it for you.
Yeah. COVID will take me out pretty soon anyway. Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Anything else you want to add before we end the show today?
no, I've platinumed Ghost of Tsushima. That's probably why I
Congrats.
said, can you wait a couple hours? I finished the game today, rolled credits, and it only took me 2 hours after rolling credits to mop up the rest. So yeah, no, I really enjoy the game. It's going to be one of my favorite games of all time. Well, not one of my favorite games, not the favorite game of all time. That
Nice.
still goes to Pokemon Silver. Yeah, no, a very enjoyable game, and yeah, I don't think you're doing the wrong thing by waiting for PlayStation 5 and seeing if they can do both graphical fidelity and frame rate at the same time.
Or just if my PlayStation won't explode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's gonna be worth the wait.
Yeah. I am excited to play it, but yeah, I don't know if I could go 4 months without a PlayStation 4 if it died on me. So. All
It
right.
still baffles me that your PlayStation is doing this to you after you sort of like opened it up and you cleaned out and you even showed us on the group chat what you did to it.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I tore that sucker apart, and it's like flawless. There's like no dust in that sucker at all, so I think it's just old thermal paste on the CPU or something. It's caused that to overheat.
Yeah, no, because when I even after like 12 hours or so, I go up to my PlayStation, I touch the side of it, and it's completely cool. And it's just like,
Dude, my
what is
thing,
going on
it
with
runs
Gage's
so
PlayStation?
hot. And it's also the first gen PS4 Pro, so it higher power consumption. Like, it's got a lot of issues that they fixed on the later revisions of it. But yeah, dude, God, I almost didn't get through Last of Us Part 2 because of it. It was like,
You just touched my PlayStation. Come on, girl. Come on,
dude,
girl.
I was waiting for it to overheat multiple times because it was so loud, and I would go behind it, and you could either feel the air behind it or feel the top or bottom of the PlayStation, and it's just searing hot. Like, I could cook eggs on there. It's ridiculous.
No longer the bold person that you cook eggs on is your PlayStation Pro.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's Xbox for you. That's our little Xbox showcase review.
Before we end, do you think there's any credence to these rumors that we're going to get a PlayStation prize or / event on August 6th?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean,
I'm just so greedy for news. Just give me anything.
hold
you
on.
know?
Let's see. What day was it? August what?
6th, they said.
Ask me
It's
again.
Thursday.
Ask me again next Thursday.
Okay.
If they don't do it by then, I don't think they're gonna do it. I think they're gonna announce it probably a week out. And if they don't announce it by next Thursday, I don't think it's gonna happen. But who knows? Who knows?
So you're giving them a week to
Yeah.
a week to say that.
Because they're gonna want to give us a window, but they're not gonna. They never give us massive windows. They usually give us a window that's maybe a week long or so. But
Cool.
somebody's mowing
That
the
was
lawn. Perfect.
So your audio's kind of cutting out, but yeah, that's been this
Good.
Sasscast episode 3.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Again, hope I didn't piss anybody off with my opinions on Xbox and their event. Looking forward to Halo Infinite. Again, visually not very pleasing. I do highly recommend go out and watch some videos on ray tracing and just games and stuff. Go check out Digital Foundry's YouTube channel. They do great breakdowns on everything tech when it comes to gaming. NoClip, if you want to know more about how games are made, go to NoClip's YouTube page, watch some of their documentaries. They have great stuff on there. Other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.